against Reasonable Doubt. I'm JV here with Justin. How you doing, Justin?
Good. I think I'm wearing the same shirt I wore last week on Thursday. They all blend together, man.
Laundry. Yeah.
I washed it. I washed it. I think it's washed.
You washed it with the water?
I washed it.
Also here, Kate Farrell. Kate, how are you?
Hi.
Looking great as
well.
Outfit. Well, you should probably wash too. I'm kidding.
I don't wash.
You don't wash?
It's not good. No, it's not good for your hygiene.
I don't say it that way. I say wash. I washed it.
Wash it. You know, you're from the north. And with the big winners today, the one, the only, Brent Mayer. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, JV. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. And Sierra Tabone, trial warrior.
What up?
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Mark in the booth. How are you? Rock and roll. Not guilty, not guilty, not guilty. Brent Mayer and Sierra Tabone getting a huge not guilty over to Zoom and COVID and making history here in Harris County. How y'all doing?
I'm working on it. I'm doing good. We feel good. Feel good.
Yeah. So and Sierra, how are you doing?
I just want to go to sleep.
Oh,
ready for
like,
I'm ready to sleep through the night.
1 hour. You got to be here for 1 hour. So look, I think from what I understand, the jury was out for 4 minutes.
I don't know about that. I think it was somewhere in the ballpark of about 20 minutes.
Fair enough.
I think it was.
But it takes 8 minutes to get them all into the jury room, and then 8 minutes to get them back out. So
yeah,
4 minutes.
Okay. If you want to go with that, it was quick, but we're definitely pleased with the result.
How was Judge Finch? How was Judge Finch as a judge? How was we all know her very well. How was she?
So aside from forcing us to trial during COVID, I was very appreciative of the fact that she let me try my case. I was really worried because we were button heads all the way up to the Tuesday before we had jury selection. And I mean, to the point that I was scared to email her because I thought she might hold me in contempt. That's how bad it was. And of course, when you file a mandamus against a judge, which is the first time I've actually ever done one, you know, you're really on edge about what's going to happen. But we got into it today, and she let me try my case, and I really appreciated that. And she sustained the objections that she needed to sustain, and she let the trial went real smoothly. Aside from the fact that I never got to see we never got to see our jury the entire day. We tried to without ever at the beginning of the trial. I said, Judge, we can see everyone in the courtroom, but we can't see a jury.
Right.
He said, well, I don't want to put the jury on a live stream. So no, you can come down here to the courthouse. And we said, no way. And so we just sucked it up and literally the entire day, never once got to see the jury. We saw them yesterday when we went down to NRG. So at least we got that connection with them. But it was.
So let's back up a little bit. So
yeah.
Who did you mandamus, and what do you mean you never got to see the jury?
Okay.
Why? Where were you?
Well, there's a lot of things there.
Pick and choose.
Yeah, let's start with the mandamus. Okay, so this all started a couple of weeks ago when we get an email from Judge Finch telling us, okay, you guys are number one set for trial November 11th, DWI. We're moving forward with trial. Here's our safety plan. You're going to pick a jury at NRG. We're going to come back here. We're going to try the case. And Sierra and I kind of, go ahead, Kate.
Is your client in custody or on bond?
He's not. He's on bond. And he's been on since December of 2018. So that was the problem, is that the case was real old. The state had to retest the blood. And so that delayed things even more. And then we got caught into COVID. And it was one of the oldest cases on her docket. And Judge Finch was very adamant. We're going to get this case tried. We're going to get it resolved. Well, when she tells us that we're going to go to trial in this case, a couple of weeks ago, that's when things are starting to get a little bit dicey around here. And Sierra and I, we talk about it, and I'm like, Sierra, how do you feel about it? And Sierra's like, I'm not really excited about sitting in a courtroom. And then we start looking at the safety plan. And per her safety plan that she sends to us, she says that the witnesses are not going to be wearing masks. They're just going to put them behind a plexiglass shield. Well, the thing about that is my brother-in-law is an epidemiologist, a Harvard-trained epidemiologist. So we know a lot about the science. And, my wife and I, we've read a lot.
Science.
We know that ain't going to cut it. And then it talks about how if you can't be heard, you got to take your mask off. And I'm like, no, I don't, in a courtroom where, and then we heard about trials in Brazos County and out in Jefferson County where people got COVID. And we just finally said, not for a misdemeanor DWI. And so we got the TCDLA motion, put it together. I kind of tweaked it and I updated it and I added some new stats and some, the Harris County red zone. Like I put that in the motion and I put the fact about the other trials and I filed the motion timely. And we have the hearing
What's the motion asking for?
The motion,
what are you moving the court to do?
What we were asking the judge is to say, look, this COVID stuff is going to create too many problems. And it was really a combination of two things. It was one, we're concerned for our personal safety. Things are starting to get a little bit out of control. The numbers are starting to go back up. This is when the local health expert, it was already going up around the country, but the local health experts were talking about, well, the numbers, they're not shooting up like they are around the country, but they are going up and we could see a third spike. And so part of it was that. The other was the effect it was going to have on our client's constitutional rights, not being able to adequately prepare with him because we never got to meet in person prior to trial. We haven't met with him face to face for 9 months. When we got to trial, we weren't going to be able to look at the jurors. We weren't going to be able to see their faces. There's case law that says that a witness can't wear a mask over their face. So, right. So we raised all of these objections.
So it's a motion for continuance. You're asking the court to just give you more time for things to settle down. Exactly.
Judge, we want to try this case. We're ready to try this case, but let's let this thing pass and we'll come back. We'll be ready to go and let's get the ball rolling on it. We kind of expected her to deny because we knew that, like all these other judges, we've got to ram these cases through. And
she's got, to be fair, she has one less case on her docket now. So tomorrow everybody can sleep in. No one has to work late, right? One less misdemeanor.
Well, it's only because Brent kicked her ass and Sierra kicked her ass in. Anyway, continue.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. It's a good point. It really is. So anyway, we filed the motion for continuance, but we started talking to our client about it and said, look, we're going to have to tell you right now that Sierra and I, we've really done a lot of soul searching about this and we just don't feel comfortable. And I started to explain to him the ethics rules and talking to him about the duty of loyalty and, duty of loyalty and effective representation of client. But then we talked to him about conflicts of interest and how we felt like we had to put our own interests above his. We hated to say it, but we had to be honest with ourselves and we needed to be honest with our client and say, look, we're not willing to go put ourselves in that environment to try your case. And to be honest with you, I thought about it because I knew that other lawyers around the state had tried to file motions for continuance and they went nowhere. I knew lawyers had tried to
JV's on like 3.
Yeah. There was a mandamus where there was a lawyer on a tax suit in Central Texas, and the guy was 68 years old with health conditions, and he got knocked down. He did a mandamus to the Eastland Court of Appeals. They dismissed it without an opinion. He went to the Texas Supreme Court. They dismissed it without an opinion. There was 4 dissenting votes. But I knew that something had to happen. These judges all got together and said, we have got to push these cases to trial. So we knew the judge was going to deny it. And we had to start talking to our client about this. Well, when we present the motion last Wednesday, Judge, we knew what was happening. After she denies it, I was like, well, Judge, now I need to let you know that we've talked to our client about how this creates an actual conflict of interest with us. And under the ethics rules, with no other alternatives, unless we said, look, would you test people for coronavirus before they came down here? She's like, I'm not going to do that. was like, well, fine, Judge. We have to withdraw. And she was like, well, we hadn't even filed the motion. I just said, we got to talk to our client about it. And she was like, well, I'll just tell you right now, I'm going to deny it.
Wow.
Deny your motion withdrawal.
We hadn't even filed the motion. We just were talking about possibly withdrawing. And she made it clear, And so
like last week?
Right, last week. So when she did that, at that point, I had done the legal research, and there's good case law out there that says that if a judge doesn't allow an attorney to withdraw when there's a conflict of interest, that is mandamusable. And so I thought, well, this is good. I've got some law side. So
nice.
I love my wife who's sitting over here with me.
Nice.
So we were supposed to, it was supposed to be a nice, easy, relaxing weekend. We were going to go up and
come on, Reasonable Doubt.
And I was like, and I hate to break this to you, but I'm writing a petition for writ of mandamus, 40 pages, every single argument that I could make regarding that. And I combined both of them and said, look, the conflict of interest is mandamusable. The denial of the continuance is mandamusable. We had a little thing happen I noticed. So Monday, or when I'm preparing the mandamus, I'm getting the certified copies of everything. And I look at the information and the complaint. And at the top of the misdemeanor complaints, it lists the cause number, the court, and their first setting date. Well, I'm looking at it, and guess what it shows? Court 13. So I call our client up. We're like, yes, we're going to go to court 13.
Oh, yeah.
Judge Rodriguez is going to save the day.
Yeah.
And so Monday morning, we Zoom in, and I was like, Judge, I don't think we're going to go to trial with you because this information says it was filed in court 13.
No, she says, no, it's not the case.
So someone had handwritten a 9, real small at the top of the information, not the complaint. And I made a Rule 12 request you can request the records from the clerk's office and how they randomly assign the case. And they pulled the records and showed that it really was assigned to court 9. So that went out the door. So Tuesday, we get back in there. I filed my written motion to withdraw, formally filed my motion because now we have to withdraw.
Conflicted, right?
No. She denies it. And then I proceed to tell her, well, Judge, in that event, I'm going to tell you that I'm going to be filing a petition for writ of mandamus. I've been working it all weekend, so it was ready to go.
Right.
But when she heard that, she was like, you do whatever you need to, Mr. Mayor. And I was like, well, Judge, Mr. Mayor, I don't need to talk to you more. I'm in the middle of docket. She just shuts me off. And so it puts us in a real predicament because I need to be able to figure out the logistics of everything. Yeah. And so the mandamus gets filed.
So you're mandamusing the withdrawal, not the continuance.
I mandamus both, but the first ground was the withdrawal because I had case law to back me up on.
Sure, that's brilliant.
So
the conflict of interest is.
I thought, hey, I think we got something to work with here. At least they'll take a look. So I filed that, and I filed a motion to temporarily stay the proceedings in the Court of Appeals.
So this is Wednesday.
This was Tuesday.
Day
before we picked the jury.
Right.
2 days ago.
This week.
That's incredible. Wait.
We filed the petition for mandamus.
And your wife is still sitting next to you?
And Sierra hasn't slept for 4 days.
Now.
Well, so and God bless Sierra, because while I'm completely focused on writing this petition for writ of mandamus, I'm like, Sierra, you need to get ready for this trial.
There's the whole case going on still.
Yeah, because we don't know what's going to happen. We file the petition for writ of mandamus. It gets assigned to the First Court of Appeals. We file a motion to stay the proceedings in Court 9. We file the Court of Appeals. Now, in all these other mandamuses that have gone on, even though the courts have denied the mandamus petitions, they've at least granted the temporary stay so they could have some time to look at it. I filed my petition for writ of mandamus at 3 o'clock on Tuesday, and at 4:20, I get an email from the First Court of Appeals: motion for temporary stay denied.
No, they weren't even there.
Nothing that happens in an hour and 20 minutes without COVID-19.
We all
Under
know
COVID-19, it'd take 4 months for that.
It takes a day for the clerks to even accept this damn thing.
I was like, please land on Justice Landau's desk because she'll get it.
Yeah.
But
Collusion. This is all collusion. All the judges got together. This is collusion.
I will
Something's
not.
going on.
I will not rule that possibility out, and I'm going to get to that in a second. But really, I mean, it is really upsetting that they. It doesn't, even though I have these great arguments, good constitutional arguments, case law to back me up, they just said, nope, you're going to go. So
yeah, there's something there. There's no way. There's no way.
Sierra,
that you
talk about
Sierra,
talk about what happens after Tuesday afternoon when we get that decision. Tell me.
So it's 4:20. You get the decision. You're a half a bottle of tequila down. I'm kidding. Okay, because you're pissed. No, okay. So you get the decision. Then what happens?
Sierra,
hey, who am I? The state. Who am I? And then what happens? And what happened next?
You're the number two.
Like a chief
then what
prosecutor
happened?
there. Sierra, tell them about what it was like.
I called him. I'm like, so do I need to prepare for Dyer? What are we doing? And Brent's like, just give me a moment. So I come home and I'm starting to prepare, and I'm like, do we do this like normal? How are we doing this?
Okay, so let's talk about that. Did you know about the logistics? Did you visit NRG?
No, other than what other HECLA members had talked about, we did, to be quite honest with you. So let me back up. So back when the judge when we made our motion for continuance and the judge denied it, and then we told her about how, look, Judge, we just do not want to come down here. She tells us, well, you guys have the option to appear by Zoom. And I was like, well, that's interesting. And I thought about that. But in my mandamus petition, I was like, well, that's a Hobson's choice, because our client can either has to give up his right to confrontation and be present at the trial in order to keep his lawyers representing him, or he's got to let his lawyers withdraw so that he can personally. It was a perfect Hobson choice, and that was the argument. But so our client was very clear. She's like, no, I want to be physically present. Mm-hmm. I basically tied that in. I tied that into our argument to say that, look, our client's in a Hobson's choice, but at the end of the day, he didn't want us. He was so concerned about us actually having to withdraw. He did not want to lose us. That was one of the most difficult aspects. Yeah. Anyway, so we didn't know what. So we kind of thought, well, we'll just show up on Zoom Wednesday morning. But then I started looking at like the court's instructions, and even though she had told us we can appear by Zoom, she had told us you all need to appear at NRG, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to not be at NRG. And she's like, where the hell are they? And then we're looking at contempt and bond forfeitures and all that nasty stuff. So Sierra and I talked about it, and we're like, look, we can suck this up. It's NRG. It's a much more open space. The jurors, everyone is going to be wearing masks and face shields. And so we were like, okay, this we can handle. The courtroom and that hellhole that is the Criminal Justice Center, we're like, absolutely not. And so what we decided, we're going to go down. And
not that NRG is ideal, right? Yeah. We can
no doubt. Okay, we'll talk about that. I'll talk with you all about that.
Okay.
But we definitely said, no, we're not going to. We'll do voir dire, but then we're going to do this thing by Zoom we're going to do the trial by Zoom Wednesday morning. So Tuesday we go down to NRG, and I mean, walking in there, I could just hear the county's cash register just like the cash floor just opening up, because I mean, they have someone there. They have someone when you drive into the complex there to take your temperature. Then you go and you park and you walk in, and everyone is real friendly there. Marilyn, say what you will about Marilyn Burgess, she's got some friendly people there, which makes this horrible experience a little bit nicer. You go through the metal detectors and you go into this big space. Now, I got to be honest with you. What really kind of made this feel a lot better is when Sierra texted me, because she got there early, and tell him who our judge was.
Oh, you just muted.
You muted.
Wait.
You muted.
Who was it?
Who's our
Judge Clinton?
John Clinton?
That's
John Clinton.
That's okay.
Wow, that's awesome.
Okay, so
and I gotta.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How long was his voir dire? Because it's
Like
usually
3
like 3 hours.
It was like 3 days long.
He's not running anymore. It should have been
He
short.
made-
No. Like you're
he
not
made
guilty.
Mark-
with-
yeah.
You're not guilty with shorter than his Vordire.
Yeah. He made Mark Ellis look like a racehorse.
That's incredible.
But really, it was nice to see him. I miss seeing him. I have a special place in my heart for him.
Did he come robed down?
He was all robed down and everything. and this was his first. This was his first one. This was his first time down there at NRG, and so he wasn't really. He was kind of also like, I don't know how this is going to work. So they put us in a big room, and everyone has the speakers in this room. They told us they weren't working, but even if they were, there's no way you could use them because the sound would carry over into the other additional Vordire spaces. So everyone had a pair of Sony headphones that had like protective wraps on it. And
all the jurors had headphones.
Every juror had headphones. Yeah. And everyone has their individual. I knew about the individual microphones. I didn't know that everyone was going to have their own headset.
Their own.
So even when
the county got those donated, right?
Well,
like Sony just was like, "Hey, you guys need like 500 headphones and 500 microphones. Like it didn't cost us any money, right?"
The first trial I had was no headphones, and it was those speakers. And the second one comes with these headphones. So continue, and then what happens? So you get there, right?
So wireless headphones? Are they plugged in?
No, they're plugged in. They're not. No.
I mean, you're literally describing why everything is being denied. I mean, there's no way that Harris County dumps this much money and then anything is ever granted to stop it. I mean, come on. They have to somehow justify this a massive expenditure. And it'll be interesting to see which contract companies were used. Were they friends of somebody?
Damn, that's the truth.
I'm just saying.
Hey, Pearl speaks the truth.
Yeah, no doubt. Because there was, again, I mean, high tech. I mean, we had wireless headsets, but I think the jurors weren't wireless. That would have been too much.
They were connected to their microphones.
That's right. So all the jurors are spread out 6 feet apart. They have their own little microphone station with their headphones. They have their masks. They have a plastic face shield that the county's paid for. Everyone brings their own mask in, but the county provides face shields because what's supposed to happen is when they answer these microphones, they're voice activated microphones, not the push button.
Wow.
So real fancy stuff.
Yeah.
Pull their masks down. They have the face shield. They're supposed to pull the mask down and give their response. And it's kind of nice because when you got juror number 35 that is way the hell back there, you can at least hear his response or their response. So
you can't see what jurors 1 through 34 what they're doing when juror 35 is responding, can you?
Say that again.
You can't see what jurors 1 through 34, what kind of facial expressions they're making when juror number 35 is answering.
Hold on. You aren't seeing anything.
Anything at all. Nothing.
Jurors are wearing masks. Then they have
This is going to be really bad. Like this is going to create case law when all these.
Were you in the pavilion or were you in one of the pens?
We were in one of the pens. And so everyone is kind of spread out. It's a misdemeanor, so they only brought in 35 jurors. Now, I will say this, okay? So everyone's been talking about, well, this isn't going to be a fair cross-section. It's not going to be a fair cross-section. Sierra, you tell them.
It definitely was a very fair cross-section.
Right. Man, we had like 8 minorities and just in the first 10. Now, we had 3 police officers, an HPD jailer who did nothing but handle the drunk tank.
Wonderful.
She got struck. A Houston ISD officer who showed up in his uniform with his body cam. And I asked him, "Are you on duty?" He's like, "Yeah."
All wow.
Right. And he was 24. Juror number 25 was the commander of the Humble ISD, commander of the Humble ISD Police Department. So now, fortunately, we didn't get that far. We didn't get that far to them, but it was diverse.
How long were you given for your Vordire?
Judge, again, thank God Judge Clinton knows me, you know.
Why is Sierra laughing about that?
Go ahead.
Brent's voir dire was awesome.
More.
But Judge Clinton told him like 4 times, Brent, 10 more minutes. Brent, 5 more minutes.
He said that to me before. He said that. He didn't yank you down because he was enjoying it.
Yeah.
He was, and he admitted it afterwards too.
Yeah.
Good. Sorry, go ahead.
So here's the takeaway for everyone watching, and I want everyone in HGCLA that's up against this to take this away. So, you know, after we lost that mandamus, I was just dejected, and I just kind of said, you know what, I need to change. I've got to shift the paradigm. You know, the law doesn't matter anymore. Forget about the law. Just deal with what is in front of you. Deal with the problem in front of you. And I said, look, we've got to just go in there and we just got to shoot straight with these people and tell them what's going on, what we're doing, and what the situation is. And so, you know, Judge Clinton had done his voir dire for, 4 hours or whatever. And he touched a little bit on COVID and he talked a little bit about the situation, but then he just went through his regular old thing. The state gets up there and they do their regular voir dire and don't mention anything about COVID. So when it comes my turn, I get up there and I was like, folks, we need to talk about the elephant in the room. And this is a big room because it's a big elephant.
Yeah.
It's COVID. Let's talk about COVID and what your all's thoughts and feelings were on it. And I said, look, let's scale this out. Let's talk about 4. Who are the people who are hyper vigilant about this and will not leave their homes and wear masks and gloves because they are truly scared about this? Okay. Now, 3, who are the people who are taking this thing seriously? Masks, social distancing, limiting their interactions, but they're not going to bring their lives to a halt. Okay. 2, these are the people that are like, yeah, I'll do what I need to do. And I'll do what I need to do, but I'm not going to take it too seriously. And then 1 are the people who are like, I think that this COVID is a hoax. I don't think I should be wearing masks. There were no 1s there because, well, I'm surprised that there were no 1s there, quite frankly.
Sure. Yeah.
That's one of the concerns we have is that
they're the silent majority. They don't acknowledge themselves.
There were some 4s, but when I said, who's 3? People were like, yeah, I'm a 3 and I'm not afraid to admit it. And there were some people that were 2s and they were okay with that. And I was
Is that your scale, by the way? Or is that like a CDC thing I missed?
No, I made that up.
Yeah.
I made it up.
Oh, nice. I'm stealing that.
And so that kind of helped us gauge a little bit about our panel. And I said, now let me tell you where we're at. And I told people about how I'm between a 3 and a 4 because my brother being an epidemiologist and I've got 2 young kids and we've lost good friends. I heard what JV went through and I was like at about a 3 and a 4. And then I told him about Sierra's mom and how she just beat cancer and she's worried about being around her mom. And I told him about our client, it was real nice. I was like, and then my client, he's more about between a 2 and a 3. I mean, he's got small kids like me, but he's a godly man. He's sort of God's time to take me. So I'm going to take me. So I got that out in front of the panel.
That is so good.
That's brilliant.
And then, so that really kind of opened things up. And then I had to start talking to him about the situation. And what I did is I used the hypothetical of a car. And I said, look, this is what is going on. I had the chair set out and everything. It's like this, we're in a big car, all right? And the driver of the car is Big Mama. And Big Mama is the judge, all right? It's Judge Clinton and it's going to be Judge Finch tomorrow. Big Mama is the judge. And what Judge does is she drives around town, picks people up and takes them where they need to go, okay? That's what she does. And almost all the time, she's going to pick up Big Brother who sits in the back seat, okay? Big Brother is the state of Texas. And they go around and they pick people up. And sometimes they take people where they want to go. Sometimes they take people where they don't want to go. And sometimes they take people to the slammer, right? Because these are jailable offenses. And so so then what happens is they come back in December 2018, they come and they pick up our client, who's little brother. And so you have little brother and Big Brother in the back seat and they get into a fight because that's what little kids do, right? And so I was like, there's a fight between the 2 of them. Big Brother's like, you were drinking while intoxicated. Little brother's like, no, you weren't. And then Big Brother's like, yeah, you were. Police officer told me you were. And I was like, no. And I go through this whole hypothetical and Big Mom's turning around and telling us, y'all be quiet back there.
Be quiet.
And so she's driving around. All of a sudden, boom, there's this big pop. And we all pull over to the side of the road and we get out and we look at the front tire and the tire is going flat. And there's a nail in the tire and that nail is COVID-19.
I like this.
And
I like this.
So we're kind of figuring, and so what happens is the judge says, and Big Mama says, get back in the car. And so we all get back in the car and the big brother and little brother look at each other like, what's going on?
What do we do?
What's going on? And Big Mama says, we're going to keep driving. We got to keep those wheels of justice turning. And so she starts driving down the road again. And then it starts to get real bumpy because the numbers in COVID are going up. And that's the first spike in our country. And then it kind of goes back down again. And then it starts to go back up again. And so when that happens, this is what really kind of ties in the whole Zoom thing. As I say, so we're all riding in the car together and it's getting real bumpy. We all decide that we're going to get inside these big, giant, inflatable plastic balls, like you see at the parks where you climb into them and you can see, and you can see everything and you can talk to everyone, but you got this big inflatable ball to protect you. Okay. You can talk to everyone, but it'll protect you. That big plastic ball is Zoom. And I start talking to jurors who here uses Zoom, who doesn't use Zoom. And I start telling them, this makes the ride less bumpy and it allows us to, and it makes us safer because we're not, if there's a blowout, we're in a big plastic inflatable ball. And so that's how I kind of segue into our current situation. This is was my proudest moment in the voir dire. We talk about how things start to get a little bit better and we get out of our plastic bubbles and we start going to court. And when that happens, that's when Big Mama says, hey, the two of you guys, we're going to have a trial. And I tell the jurors, that's when little brother speaks up and says, Big Mama, please, we do not need to go to trial right now. Can we just pull over to the side of the road, call a tow truck, fix the tire, get us down the road, and we can continue driving safer after all of this happens. Big Mama says no. And Big Mama, and I'm not contemptuous about it. I was like, and Big Mama can do that because she's the judge and she's got to keep the wheels of justice turning. And so she says, nope, we're not going to pull over to the side of the road. And so I make the jurors very aware of the fact that we did not want to be here.
Yeah.
Didn't want to put anyone in danger.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yes, it absolves you from, oh, what does this guy want? What did he do? What is he accused of? Why the hell are we here?
Right.
And it's great.
Well, and here's where it becomes important with the Zoom trial aspect of all of this, is because then we talk about how we pull over to the side of the road and where there's a big group of people and we tell them, get in the car with us. And those are the jurors, right?
Right.
We're dyers about figuring out who's going to stay in the car and who's not going to stay in the car. And 6 people are going to have to stay in the car and listen to this fight while we're driving down the road with the flat tire, and COVID numbers going back up.
That's great.
Eventually, so then I get to the kind of the finale of it is I say, look, folks, here's the situation. Big Mama has said, little brother, you can get back in the bubble if you want to, okay, but we're not going to get back in the bubble. And so that's my segue to say, look, folks, we are going to get back in the bubble, okay? I'm somewhere between a 3 and a 4. Sierra's between a 3 and a 4. We do not, if the judge is giving us this option, we have to take it because we do not want to put ourselves in risk. And then I take it a step further. Before all this, I told the prosecutors, you guys want to show up in Zoom? Come on and join Zoom with us because at least it's going to level the playing field and not have this disadvantage where they're in the courtroom. But they were like, no, we're going to take advantage of this opportunity because while you
don't get to see the jury.
Well, they end up looking like the bad guy. They end up looking like the bullies. They end up
exactly.
I was going to say this is so perfect for the jury because this sets it up that they're like, look, we better see the judge and the state have pushed this.
Right.
We better see some real evidence. There better be something here, or you have wasted our time and potentially exposed us.
Okay,
this is perfection.
It works. It's gonna all tie in here. And we talk to the jurors, and we're like, look, who here is going to treat us differently because we are going to be on a camera and you all are going to be in the courtroom. I tell them, if we can get you in the courtroom, we would love to have you. I mean, we could get you on Zoom. We'd love to have you in Zoom with us. Okay. But we don't know if that's going to work, but we're going to be there. Are you going to treat us differently? And there were some jurors that raised their hand and they were pretty vocal about it. And they were like, that's, they weren't happy about it.
Wait, what'd they say? Like,
there was one juror that was like, this is ridiculous. I go to work, I'm behind a shield, I can't do that. And I was like, look, I respect you. You're making a good decision for yourself. And that was the nice thing about it is it was very, look, I respect you. It was very, look, we're not here to judge people's decision. We're just need everyone to understand the circumstance. And, Judge Clinton talks, he used a seam in the concrete pavement and used that to talk about how one party or one side can't get a head start. And so I got back on that same line. I was like, look, is there anyone who's going to set us back because we're choosing to do this? And
right.
Just like I think because we showed them that we respected their decisions, there was jurors who were like, we're going to respect your decision. And yes, there were some people who were like, no, if I'm going to have to be there, you should have to be there too. And I was like, so you agree that's going to create you're going to treat us differently. They were like, yeah, got rid of him.
Beautiful.
Perfect.
Causal strike, no preemptory strikes. Great.
Clinton was great with giving us, he really did a great job with cause. And we got to.
Did you use your own, any PowerPoints or anything like
None.
that? Or any handouts? None?
None. I didn't. I threw it all out the door. Again, shift. You have to shift. We are in different times. Again, different times. The law is out the door. You've got to shift the paradigm, and you got to get into this situation. That's what we needed to do, and we got a good jury out of it. Three Hispanics. And it was kind of poignant when I said, folks, this is the last time you're going to see us in person. But whichever 6 of y'all on this jury, I really hope that you adhere to your promises and you follow the law as you've told us here today. Thank you for your time.
Wow.
So
you had to get a jury. You had to get a jury to trust you and say, hey, look, I'm not going down there.
So here was my nice little moment. So. Here's the other thing. It is freezing in those booths.
Freezing. It's cold.
The rest of the building, it's okay. Sierra.
So cold. My toes were freezing in my heels, and I never get cold. It was so cold. And
so by the time we get to defense for tire, there was people that were just Judge Clinton being Judge Clinton, God bless him. He sees a couple of the jurors on the front row just like, whoa, and he's like, I've got a jacket right here. Do you want to wear it? And he gives and he hands me his jacket.
He had blankets. I think he had blankets in his courtroom when he used to give
he just had his jacket, and then he made a funny crack about I'll give you my robe, but then you're gonna have to come sit up here. That was there was another juror. That's when Judge Clinton's like, does anyone else? And there was another woman on the front row, and I took off my jacket and I gave her my jacket. And
damn.
And at that point, I was like, I'm scoring some points here.
Yes.
Is the state just like deer in the headlights? Like,
oh yeah.
Yes. Sorry, Mark.
And what's interesting is that woman that I gave my jacket to, she was the one who was like, no, I think it's fair that you guys aren't going to be there. And I was like, well, I appreciate your honesty and everything else like that. And then I was like, give me my jacket back.
Yeah, that's right.
She was real sweet. And look, and that was the nice thing is we got these. We had to be. We made it honest, and people were honest with us, and we were honest with them, so that we knew that we were going to get good people. And so that was jury selection. And then today we zoom in, and we pre-admitted the exhibits. Things got really better when the prosecutors realized that they had messed up with their notices and their subpoenas for their analysts. They didn't have an analyst to prove.
Did they mess? Did they consciously subpoena the wrong person?
No, what happened there?
So what you know how so.
Thanks for, by the way, real quick, we got former HCCLA president and former host of Reasonable Doubt, Todd DuPont, joining us. Thanks very much.
Todd DuPont on the show. Hey, I think Todd is out in New Orleans, if I'm not mistaken.
He is, but I don't want to interrupt.
Yeah, keep going. Sorry, Brent.
Oh, that's good.
So what happened with the analyst?
With the blood. What went wrong?
So-
what went wrong with the blood?
So basically, they subpoenaed the case reviewer and the supervisor, but they didn't subpoena the analyst. Now we knew that, but here's the thing about that
Happened
is
a lot.
we knew about that, but we were dealing with, Judge the Honorable Tariah Finch, who was like, we're going to push through, and
Didn't you catch it?
we weren't confident that she wasn't going to allow them to say,
Right.
oh, again, the law is, we're thinking the law is just out the window.
But the law's pretty clear on that.
So
Yeah.
What part of me asking how did is wondering, did she spot that legal issue when you made it? And she made the right ruling, but I don't know on what ground.
No. This is the prosecutors, and I have to commend them for this because they knew that they were in a bind. So obviously we're not going to tell them about it because we don't want them to fix the error. So after we picked the jury yesterday, last night, the prosecutor calls me up, says, Brent, hey, look, I admit I figured out that we messed up and we don't have an analyst. And so we're going to have to go forward on this case without the blood evidence. And that's when
Okay.
wife over here will tell you.
So look,
But here's the thing: is it's still not a easy case. Our client was seen driving down the street with heavy front end damage to his car, driving on and here's the thing: tying back into voir dire, the cops see him driving down the street, heavy front end damage, and his tire is basically rubbing up against the damage, basically.
right. Right. Yes.
You, in opening statement, you made it seem like it wasn't that big of a deal. And I was like, oh, he just like hit a little trash can. Okay. And then when the video played, I was like, oh, okay.
Good luck with that one.
Look, there's a lot of people that say that you cannot effectively cross on Zoom. And quite frankly, apparently I can't cross on Zoom very well either.
Right.
However, after seeing your cross, the way you interplayed, okay, so I thought it was great when you were able to use technology as part of your cross. And
Yeah.
it was great. You were able to highlight and circle and do all kinds of things and really show.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys talk to us.
What are you
about
doing? Like sharing content of the exhibits?
I was.
Through Zoom?
So here is the takeaway for doing a trial by Zoom is it's scary because we never see the jury. Okay. When we show up this morning, we have the cameras on everyone. They have a camera set up right in front of the witness stand, so I can clearly see the witness. I like that. But I'm like, Judge, can we get a camera on the jury? And she's like, no. I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, no, I'm not. I don't. If we're going to be live streaming this, I don't want the jurors' faces shown.
What is this? What is this squeaking going on? What is this?
Sorry, that's mine.
If it's you, that's fine. If it's you, that's fine. If it's you, it's fine.
It's not me, I promise.
Yeah,
That was-
okay.
Like, there's
My
a
dog
dog chew
wants-
toy.
Dog
That's
shoots.
great. Continue.
So she says, so I'm like, well, they're wearing masks. Who cares? Well, I don't say that, but I'm thinking that. But she's like, if you want to see the jurors, you can come down here. And I'm like, okay. And so
She's lucky there's a not guilty.
action, put it on the record, courts, whatever. And
that is
accept the fact that I'm not going to get to see the jury for this entire trial. But here's the trade-off to it. Part of what makes the cross, I think, helpful and effective for me is that just like right now, I'm looking at myself talking. I can watch my expressions. I can watch my demeanor so that some of the things, God bless, Screaming Ray Moses, my criminal trial advocacy professor from South Texas 20 years ago, who, when we tried a case, had us video record ourselves so we could watch ourselves, because that's how you really learn a lot and how you learn a lot how you try a case. So when I'm asking the questions of the witness, I can see what I'm doing and how I'm asking it. And it's almost like it's like reading a transcript. It just allows me to slow down and think things out, and thinking what I'm doing is what the jury is seeing. I can't see the jury, but they can see it. That was one really nice thing about the Zoom. As far as the technology goes, yes, when I needed to cross-examine him with the video, I come down to screen share, which has been disabled by the host, so I can't use an example here. But I have, I'm in my office with my multiple monitors, so I have everything ready to go. And I just screen share and boom, pull up video, go right to where I need to, show them what I need to do, and boom, I'm right back out of it. Um, Between that and then, Adobe is just awesome. And I mean, on the, years ago, I mean, I tried a case in federal court up in Austin, and that's where I really practiced and used it because it was a multi-defendant case. And it was a big high profile case, lots of defendants, big, huge courtroom in front of Sam Sparks. And it's a big paper case. And I had to be able to show the jurors the bank records and needed to be, okay, now let's look at this transaction and boop, boop, boop. And so getting really familiar with the tools in Adobe makes it real easy. So if I needed to highlight something, I could pull up a document, highlight it, and then you could do this and boom, boom, boom. And then when I'm done with that, again, I'm really good at Zoom because that's all we do right now. I jump back out of it and boom, I'm right back to talking to the jurors. It also helped because on Judge Finch's camera, I could see the monitor behind her. And that's how I could see what the jurors were seeing and what was being presented in the courtroom. Because I could see myself, I had gallery view like I think we all have right now. But we could see that, but it was really nice because, I could see what the jurors were seeing as well. Then as far as the witness goes, again, this is what's so bizarre about this experience. Even though I'm not there in the courtroom, I was in that cop's head because I'm on a video screen right in front of him. And it got to the point where I was just like, this guy's just giving me, I was just taking candy from a baby at some point.
He was saying yes to some questions that I thought, well, he's going to attempt to explain, right? The officer always will attempt to explain, but you had him in a yes pattern, and he was like, yes, yes, yes. And it was great.
All of these factors, I think, just came together perfectly. And so, again,
what are the tips and tricks, man? Tips and tricks for helpful tips for people running the Zoom trials or being virtual.
Don't do it.
Number one.
Do you think you'll be able to recreate?
Well, pardon?
Think you'll be able to recreate that?
What do you mean?
I mean, do you think that the state's going to get wise to it? Do you think that they've not really proven to be adaptable in any way, but you said it was a congruence of a lot of factors. Do you think that you could do the same things in another case again?
Maybe. Again, this is a very fluid kind of thing that's going on.
Okay, well then let me change it. It went well for you. Why are you saying don't do
it? I say don't do it. I think Todd has had a number of
right here.
Yeah.
The Constitution got thrown out the door in this trial, and it pisses me off more than anything. And I won't hesitate to tell anyone. It pissed me off. My client was nearly denied the right to counsel of his own choosing. He lost the right to physical confrontation. He lost the right to be present in the courtroom. The right to open courts was out the door. The effective assistance of counsel was compromised. There was things I could not do that I would have done differently in the courtroom. It does not need to happen. And, one thing I'll say about my mandamus getting denied and these other mandamuses getting denied is at least it's not creating bad legal precedent. That's the benefit. And one of it was a glorious feeling after the jury found him not guilty. I put together a motion to dismiss the petition for mandamus, and I put in there how here's what happened, and guess what? Not guilty. And I filed it with the Court of Appeals because I don't want any bad case law coming out of this thing.
Yeah.
Well, Brett, I was saying earlier, because I felt that your cross was really effective, and the things that you just talked about were the things that I found effective. I thought your demeanor created a sense of trust. You were very slow and methodical and patient, and I thought it was really effective on Zoom. And I was saying earlier, don't repeat me because I don't want anybody to think that I'm okay with Zoom trials.
Right.
But your Zoom cross was very effective. And I think part of that is just you have an effective cross. So that's going to come through either way. But
I appreciate
on
that.
the Zoom, it was really your patience and your steadiness through it. And you really took the time to explain every little thing that you were doing. And
Right.
with all this separation of technology, it made you much more relatable and right there.
Yeah.
If that makes
And-
sense.
No, it does. It does, and I appreciate that, Kate. But let me give credit to where credit is due. I mean, it is the technology. When you can see and hear yourself on this computer or laptop or whatever you are, it makes you so much more self-aware of how you are presenting your case and what you're doing. I've done a lot of contested hearings on Zoom, and it really taught me to be self-aware of some of the things that I do and I say. And so if there's a tip, JV, you're talking about tips and trades, you know, it's hard to practice a cross-examination, but don't try to have a contested hearing. You take advantage of this crappy time that we're in, and try to have a contested hearing on Zoom so that you can have this opportunity to be self-aware of what you're doing and how you're acting and how you sound. When you can see and hear yourself, it just, I mean, I always felt like I was pretty good at cross, but this really allowed me I felt like it helped me take it to a whole nother level, because I was getting instant feedback. I knew exactly how I don't need to get all and I need to be very slow and deliberate, because I got to make sure that it's clear for the court reporter and especially for the jurors who aren't in the courtroom with me. And that's really what it take advantage of this to really improve, because I feel like that's why it came across so effectively.
When I saw you in the trial, it was good. I saw you in your perfect form, as you always are. But I thought to myself, I said, "There's Brent given a CLE," and I'm wondering if you had any thought about how you looked and where your monitor was positioned and where your because I saw you, man, and you were in your office,
Right.
and you had everything hanging behind you, and so it added the ethos to your presentation. It added the credibility to what you were talking about. Was
Right.
is that just what you were doing, or did
No,
what you thought about?
I put thought into all of that, JV. I mean, like I said, I'm not in the courtroom. I've got to. I mean, when the jurors would come in, we would stand up. I mean,
I saw that.
Yeah, we would stand up.
Yeah.
Because we wanted to make it just if we're going to make it virtual, we've got to make it really feel like we're there. But yeah, I mean, I did it. We set up in my office, and of course, I wasn't going to have any obnoxious pictures or anything, but just a very nice, subtle background, nothing too. And because I want the jurors to not get distracted by anything. I need them to focus on me since I'm not in the courtroom. And like I said, it was just a matter of, look, you've got this, adapt, and make this work and make these people feel comfortable and come across in a convincing fashion. So
Todd
had to be one of the most anticlimactic. Sorry, go ahead, Kate.
Oh, I just had a quick question that I feel is very important, because both of y'all were so nicely dressed on camera, Sierra and Brent. Were you fully dressed, or?
No, I had on pants and tennis shoes. I was not wearing a full suit. It was Zoom suit all the way.
No, I was in a full suit because I knew I'd be standing up, but I did have my Airbirds on the entire time because I'm definitely. It's nice not having to walk around in my cowboy boots. But after the trial was over, I was happy to change into shorts, but I was happy to change into shorts when I knew I wasn't going to have to be standing up anymore.
Well, it had to be one of the most anticlimactic not guilties, because you're just like there's no one to high five. There's no one.
Hold on. Let me say this really quick before we run out of time.
Yeah.
Before we get to that, so after the jury goes out, it's just the prosecutors and I on the Zoom, and I was like, "Can I ask you guys a question?" And they were like, "Sure." It's like, what was the jury doing during my closing argument?
That was great.
Yeah.
And I was like, tell you. I mean, because I was thinking, I mean, that's just how surreal this is. I was like, for all I know, they could have just been like turning their backs on the camera.
Yeah, like, come on, dude, get done.
And so, Yeah, but afterwards, it was nice to get on FaceTime with our client, and he was in tears, and it was a good moment. And
how was the judge gonna handle if if it went the other way and he had to get either probation or jail time?
we never talked about it. The prosecutors had told me before that they were going to agree to probation. We figured we would just say, Judge, we will, we'll let our client go down there in person, and we'll appear by Zoom for sentencing. Is kind of what I imagined that we would have done, because again, there's no way that we're going down. We're not going down there. It's not safe, and why that building is still operating is beyond me.
Somebody in that office.
And let me say, I know that sounds selfish. I'm very, God bless Jenny Maselli, who stepped in to help us out. But, I feel bad for the people that don't have a choice, that don't have a choice in not going down there. They shouldn't have to make a choice. The judges should step up and just say, look, we're going to go total virtual until we get over this third spike. There's a vaccine coming. Things are going to be much better next year. That's what needs to happen.
See, what do we got? We got 1 minute left.
1 minute. Sorry, I know. I've been
great.
watching.
No, that was great.
How's New Orleans out there, man?
All good, man.
I saw you in downtown Houston like 7 hours ago.
Hey, congratulations, Brent.
Thank you, Brother Todd.
Good job, guys.
That is completely awesome.
Good work.
That is awesome. I think on the misdemeanor side, I think defense is like 4-0 or something.
During COVID, yeah.
How many trials have they been? So JV did 2. There's been like 4. Let's call it 6 misdemeanors. Add another 10. How much money do they spend? $30 million on this?
No, you're joking, are you?
No, I don't know. Someone threw that number around before. I heard
it was something like that.
So we're over $1 million a case just on infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yep.
Cool.
That's a good point. All right.
Well, hey, look, this has been one of the greatest shows in a long. Not that we have great shows every week, but it's an incredible time, an incredible day.
Congrats, y'all.
Congrats.
Thanks.
And way to do it, Trial Warriors from HEC and LA's Reasonable Doubt. JV, Justin, Kate, why don't you tell everybody goodbye?
Oh, not me. I'm not very good at it.
Todd, send us out from the Big Easy.
Well, you all, well, today's Thursday, so hell, go have a drink tonight, relax. Tomorrow's Friday. Thank you all for tuning in and watching. Congratulations to Brent and Sierra. Great job today. And you all tune in next week for another good show. God bless you.
Thank you, Todd.
All right. Thanks, y'all. Everyone be safe.